Yeah, I remember that. When we were small, we used to go everywhere together. Hmm. I wish I knew what happened to them. Like, what they're all doing now. Yeah. Studying human behavior provides much opportunity for hilarity. Human beings' most pointless, counterproductive attribute is how they just love to form endless categories of classes, right? They simply cannot resist separating themselves apart and then reclumping into little posses like soap bubbles. Rich, poor, middle, upper middle, lower middle, black, white, yellow, brown, red, gay, straight, bi, tri, whatevers, college graduates, non-college graduates, union and non-union. Oh, and the degrees, and the accreditations, and the legitimate, and of course, then you got the illegitimate. It doesn't seem like people are really thinking for themselves. They just kind of parrot whatever they heard their designated class representatives say. It's kind of sad. I mean, it's mostly like different classes of people all looking out for their own interests. We just have berserk public campaigns of misinformation and misdirection, which really hurts because I think mostly it's just gonna be the groups with the most privilege and power seizing the most goodies, regardless of right and wrong. I feel like compassion has become obsolete. What's class treason?
Class treason is what happens when someone from a privileged class recognizes that it's unfair or immoral for them to keep benefiting from the unjust system that produces that privilege. The only morally justifiable response to this realization is to work towards dismantling that system. For example, young SNCC workers during the American Civil Rights Movement, or men actively fighting against sexism and patriarchy, or members of the ruling classes joining the peasant class in their fight against oppression, or Americans refusing to fight Vietnamese people during the Vietnam War, or first worlders who fight their own government's policies of violence and exploitation of third worlders. Israeli soldiers who refuse to participate in state violence against Palestinians, or families of people killed on 9/11 denouncing the US government for their invasions of Afghanistan and Iraq.
I got it.
A lot of people only see class treason as a form of political suicide or some kind of weird manifestation of self-loathing, white guilt, etc. But actually, class treason has nothing to do with confusion or self-denial at all. Class treason has everything to do with realizing that fighting for fairness and justice for others is also good for the class traitor herself. Because class treason requires critical awareness and political clarity and the strength to constantly put your analysis into lived reality. But most importantly, class treason requires compassion.
But don't we already have lots of people who think that sexism and racism is bad? I mean, don't we already have a ton of people who think the US shouldn't be engaging in colonial wars?
Yes.
If class treason is so important, then how come we still have all this negative stuff going on?
Class treason is when people actually do something to change social reality. It's never about just sympathizing with so-and-so, thinking or saying the right things. Most well-intentioned people do nearly nothing to live their so-called convictions, so I'm not even talking about those people. Let's make it simple. If you are first worlder, if you are male, if you are heterosexual, if you are a professional, whatever that means, even if you just live in America and you have a roof over your head, you are a beneficiary in a system that's been organized and maintained according to the logic of class and class-affiliated privilege. So we're not talking about anecdotal good luck stories or success narratives about hardworking individuals. We're talking about structure. And in this structure, if you're not actively working to dismantle these systems, at the very least, you're helping to maintain the status quo. There's no neutral territory here.
Do you think we can create a more egalitarian world without lots of people committing class treason?
No.
What about capitalism?
Capitalism is incompatible with justice and compassion.
How about progressive teachers? You like them, right? What if we just stock our schools and universities with more progressive teachers?
Sanctioning institutions don't work like that. Schools allow a certain amount of critique of hegemony, especially if they think it won't lead to threatening, destabilizing action by the masses.
Are you saying we should get rid of schools?
I'm saying we need alternatives to schools.
But a lot of our friends work in schools. Aren't they doing important work?
Yeah. Obviously, there's always going to be a certain amount of socially progressive work produced even in elite ruling class institutions. I'm not contesting that. It's a mutually beneficial arrangement. On one hand, the system benefits from the symbolic presence of work that positions itself as critical of the establishment. The main reason for this is so that it can present itself as politically neutral and ideologically balanced. Meanwhile, the so-called progressive and radical academics that produce this work get to enjoy a range of benefits that typically comes with affiliation with elite institutions. And all they have to do to keep enjoying these privileges is to limit their political maneuvering to anything that doesn't directly threaten to destabilize the fundamental organizational logic of the university or society itself. So, okay, that's the choice they've made. But let's ask a different question. Is there a reason why counter-hegemonic intellectual work can't be done outside the university? Is there some kind of law of physics or mysterious hidden power that makes serious intellectual activity only possible on a university campus? No, of course not. The constraints are primarily economic, cultural, I would even say emotional. So why do you think progressive educators have been so reluctant to create alternative institutional structures to support their supposedly transformative work? Is it simply a lack of imagination? Or is it just a matter of them wanting to eat the cake they've been served? These people don't want revolution. They're as afraid of change as anybody from the right wing. And they'll be satisfied with small incremental reform as long as they're able to keep their status as the intellectual vanguard of social justice.
Thank you, Candy. What time is it? What would happen if a whole bunch of people suddenly decided to commit class treason? Like all the conscious people at a university or something. What would that look like? Honey, I'm home. I just decided to commit class treason today. That's great, honey. I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, I'm gonna tell you now. You know how I've been wanting my students and department to do a radical critique of capitalism, but they're always like, hey, shut up, commie. Freedom isn't free. Yes? Well, today I realized, does it really make sense for me to keep working in an environment where I get almost no support and I'll always be outnumbered by my ideological enemies? Wouldn't it make more sense for me to stop wasting so much of my energy arguing with those other faculty douchebags who are always looking to undermine my work? Or wasting precious energy trying to excite bored students who couldn't care less and just want to get out and get a job with Lockheed or Monsanto or Citibank? Oh, that's great, honey. I'll start packing our stuff in boxes now, since we won't be able to pay the mortgage, and little Timmy and Penny can start eating cat food. Oh. No, don't worry, wife. We're not going to starve. All the other progressive faculty that nobody really wanted at the university, and even some of the ideological reject students, we all dropped out at the same time. So we're not alone. Yay, we can all starve together. No, we're not going to starve. We're all going to get together and form a new upside down university. And instead of being elitist, self-serving functionaries of the state, we're actually going to support each other's work. And we're going to create a totally new kind of learning culture. It'll all be about the work. Work that alleviates suffering and restores the environment. And we won't have to work with students that don't really want to be there anymore. Instead, we'll have all these wonderful reject students from all around the world that never fitted in at their boring name-brand universities. Even though probably studying at our upside-down school won't really help them get jobs. Well, maybe that's not true, because we'll make different kinds of jobs? Or, no, maybe since instead of money, we're all going to grow our own organic food? I think this needs a lot more work.